Hi students, today we'll talk about the first chapter, Unit 1, Class 8, The Boy Who Broke the Bank. The Boy Who Broke the Bank is written by Ruskin Bond, one of the most famous and beloved writers of India. Though he was an European, still his stories are mainly concerned about India, mainly residing in and around Dehradun. Now let's come to the story. As the story says, as the title goes, The Boy Who Broke the Bank. From the title we can understand that the story is about a boy who had broke the bank. Broke the bank means stolen something from the bank. Something means, of course, from bank we can steal money and other precious things that we find in the bank. But as we look into the story, we get something different. Now this is a story which will focus on the soft skill, which is listening. This story mainly revolves around this soft skill. It is the listening which is the main reason for all the events that take place in the story. Now let's go into the story first and see what is the story all about. In this story, as the story unfolds, we find Nathu. Nathu, who is Nathu? Nathu is a sweeper. A sweeper who sweeps clears the staircases of the bank. Now I call him the protagonist. Who is the protagonist? Protagonist is a character in a story around whom the whole story revolves. So this story gets its momentum from Nathu. From the whatever incidents revolving Nathu starts, from that the story gets its momentum and finishes with Nathu. That's why we call it the protagonist. Now the other subplots or sub-characters of this story are, other important characters are Sitaram, the washerman's son, Mrs. Prakash Srivastava, and Mrs. Bhushan. So these are some important characters who gives the story its direction. Now, here as the story unfolds, we find Nathu grumbling within himself. He was grumbling regarding the irregular payment. He had not received the payment in that month, so he was grumbling. At that time, Sitaram, the washerman's son, he was passing by with the load of the clothes over his head and sold. Now while passing, he asked Nathu what he was grumbling about or why was he irritated. Nathu talked about the salary, and he said that he don't want to discuss about it. He was so much irritated that he had not got the salary, and very soon it would have been 2 months' salary. While saying this, while Nathu was saying all this, Sitaram passed by and he went into the fourth house in that line. It was the house of Mr. Prakash Srivastava. So while giving clothes, he overheard Mrs. Prakash Srivastava that she required someone to sweep or clean her house. Immediately Sitaram remembered about Nathu, and Sitaram told Mrs. Srivastava that if she wants, he can manage a person who is willing to do the sweeping work, because he is wanting to leave the present job and is search of another. Now when Mrs. Prakash asks about the person details, Sitaram says that the person is Nathu. He is the sweeper of the bank. The bank is not able to give him a month's salary, but not able to give the salary properly. It means maybe the condition of the bank may be not good. That's why from the next month he will leave the job. Saying this, Sitaram finished, and Mrs. Prakash said, "Okay, ask him to meet me." Sitaram went out. After that, after some time, Mrs. Prakash had to go to the market. Now, while going to the market, as she came under a shade of a tree, she found Mrs. Bhushan resting over there. Just in casual talking, she told Mrs. Bhushan that Seth Govindram's bank in Pipal Nagar is not able to pay its employees the salary for the last 2 months. So you can understand the word had been little bit distorted by Mrs. Prakash what she heard. Now she made it 2 months. Now after Mrs. Bhushan listened to it, Mrs. Bhushan went to search for her husband, whom she found sitting in Jugal Kishore's electric shop and enjoying the cool air of the fan. She shoutedly called out her husband and said that for the last 1 hour she is searching him and he is resting in the shop. During that time, she said that the bank has become bankrupt, as the bank is unable to pay its employees their salaries. Now, listening to this, Jugal Kishore got surprised and he asked, "Which bank?" In answer to it, Mrs. Bhushan said, "Why?" Said Govindram's bank. Now she said, "Oh, do you have any money over there? Don't you know? For the last 3 months, they have not been paid the salary for the employees." Mr. Jugal Kishore said, "No, I don't have any account over in that bank, but my friend has, the barber, Faiz Hussain." So immediately he shouted and called Faiz Hussain. "Faiz Hussain, have you heard?" Now the moment when Faiz Hussain heard it, he was cutting the hair of his customer. Now the news made his hand undo his work, as he got so much shock that in place of cutting the hair, he had nipped off the ears of his customer. The customer shouted in pain as well as despair. Pain because the barber has nipped his ear, and despair because the bank has become bankrupt. Immediately, with half of his unshaven face unshaven, he ran across the road to find the telephone in a shop. From there, he called at Seth Govindram's house, only to get informed that Seth Govindram was not there. He was holidaying with whole family in Kashmir. Now, he did not believe it, and he thought that no, that means Govindram has fled. The bird has already fled. So, after that, this rumor spread like wildfire in the town, and almost everyone came to know about it. People started discussing. Some said that Govindram has left the state. Some said he had left the country. Some said no, he is hiding somewhere in the town. Different people, different views. Finally, one person made a call to the clerk who was working in Govindram's office, bank, to know about the matter. Now when he asked her, the clerk said that, "I'm surprised what happened to the town. The town has got mad. Only I know is that more than half of the people of the town is at present in this bank asking for money." Then the person said, "It is because you all have not got your payment. The bank has got bankrupt." The clerk said, "Who said? We have got our salary. If we have not got, we would not have worked over here." Yes, some temporary staffs, they don't get their salary in proper time, but it is because the clerk who looks after their payment is on sick leave for a few days. Only that is the reason, nothing else. Saying so, he had put down that phone. Well, gradually, nearly more than half of the town have gathered in front of the bank to get their money. Out of that, some people who had taken out their money beforehand only, they were boasting of their foresightedness. Some were boasting as they had not kept any money over there. And those who have kept, they were in tension. So they all went to take their money. Now, among them, there were some people who had not kept a paisa over there. Still, they joined the crowd. Now, they demanded their money then and there. The manager informed that the bank has enough money, there is nothing to panic, but it doesn't have the ready cash for all. So, it cannot clear everybody that day. At least the day after they will clear. But the crowds continually, they shouted, now, 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 they want their money now. In that case, some people, some mischief makers also joined the crowd and they started hurling stones. Saying this, the manager went inside the grill gate. After a few minutes, the police came. By that time, they had already broken one glass plate of the bank. The police came and moved all the protesters from the stairs. Now, next day morning, when Nathur returned to clear the stairs, he found the glasses fallen here and there. Now he got very angry and he shouted, "Gundas, hooligans." Because he thought, he is saying that once he is not getting his payment properly, he is getting irregular payment. Apart from that, added to that, they have increased his workload by keeping those broken glasses over there. So he was very angry. When he was doing so, by that time, Sitaram, the washerman's son, was passing on with his bicycle. And he said that, "Oh, I have already managed for your work in another place from next month. So be ready. And of course, you would join it because you need it, as you already know the bank is going to get bankrupt. You also join, very good, you stay here. Join the others who will come to ask your money. If you get it, you will be lucky. I hope you will get it." Now, by saying that, he went away. Nathu was perplexed. He was extremely puzzled. What is Sitaram saying? What has happened to the bank? What has happened? He was not able to understand. He sat on the stairs and he was thinking, what has happened? He was not able to understand anything. This is where the story ends. Now, though the story ends, what we get is that this story is a total lack of miscommunication. So the listening, I said before that the listening skill is the main reason behind it. Now here in this story, Seth Govindram, he was the owner of the bank. Now, when the rumor spread about the bankruptcy, the people of the town got worried. They found the owner out of station. There was no phone contact with the owner. All this made them think that the rumor is true. And the resultant sufferer was Seth Govinda, only due to lack of communication. So this story teaches us that we should not believe in rumors. And next, that communication gap. Communication is very important. If there is lapse of communication, then somebody can become a sufferer. Now, who is the antagonist or the villain in this story? Apparently, it seems that the villain is Nathu, or if not, maybe Sitaram, because they had done it. Or you can add Mrs. Prakash, Mrs. Bhushan to it. But the main villain of the story is rumor. Rumor is the main villain of the story. So we should abstain ourselves from rumors. Whenever you listen something, you should at first confirm the source from where you are listening something, and see confirm it whether whatever you are listening is true or not. Just get the proof. Then only try to be a part of the rumor. Otherwise, don't become a part of the rumor. it may ruin somebody. As here, said Govind Ram, he got ruined because of this rumor. His bank was running on properly, there was no problem in there, but as all these factors were there, plus Govind Ram had a haphazard business, means he haphazard business, he used to do haphazard business dealings, and his pleasure-loving skills of his life, all this made people believe in the rumors. Ultimately, destroyed the bank. Now here, Nathu had said something, it was only his grumble. Now that grumble turned into a rumor which lasted in total shutdown of the bank. Now here, again I will say that the listening skill is very important. If the manager would have listened to the problems or the grumble or the irritation of the sweeper, or if he had talked with the sweeper, or even if he had not talked, if he had sent somebody, some clerk to have talked with the sweeper regarding the payment, then he would not have grumbled and this thing would not have happened. There was a lack of communication everywhere. Said Govind Ram, owner of the bank, he never came to the bank. He should have come to the bank to see what is going on. He has never done. Communication gap. The manager has not appointed anybody to look into the matter of the payment for the non-permanent staff. All this communication gap resulted in this events that we found in the story, the boy who broke the bank. So, rumor is the main villain of this story. It may be a very humorous story, something very funny, but in this fun, Ruskin Bond teaches us that we should abstain ourselves from being a part of any kind of rumor. Thank you. Here we end our explanation.